Hey, what's up, everybody? One of the concepts that I want to go over today is about mobility and stretching, right? Mobility's been a buzzword. It's getting more and more popular, even more so than before when I started with like things like Mobility WOD. And we used to program a lot of mobility work because that's what, we wanted to test out. That was what was promised to be the gold standard of recovery. Stretching as well. It's still the most common thing when someone has a pain or tension. My back's tight. I'm going to stretch. My neck is tight. I need a massage. I need to stretch it. So, one thing I wish I would have known is that mobility and stretching, mobility work, doesn't fix the problem. So, we know this because our tagline is question everything. You guys should question everything as well. Question this video. Question why someone's telling you to stretch to fix something. Question how and why this mobility or recovery exercise or tool is supposed to fix the problem. Why I'm sharing this is because I'm trying to share my experience, the 12 years of coaching, running a gym. So many people have been through here, a lot of injuries, a lot of trial and error. So when we programmed a lot of mobility back then, we were promised that was, the idea is doing more mobility work will help with recovery, prevent injuries, fix injuries, improve performance. What we found is it doesn't do any of those things. Recovery, that's not, that's kind of up in the air, but we'll leave that alone for now. But let's talk about the three. So for fixing injuries, it makes no sense. And we've tried it and it doesn't work because we've tried it, tested it, our members or clients ourselves. I was injured a lot more back in the day. And now I'm training as I'm older now, over a decade older, still lifting heavy, doing jujitsu, doing weightlifting, Olympic lifting. Before I used to do those things like Olympic lifting, I would mobilize, stretch, roll out, foam roll a lacrosse ball, hours on end because things were tight. My IT band, my knees would hurt, my lower back would be tight, my hip flexor. So I would roll out and stretch, do all this stuff, hip capsule work, psoas work, you name it. We've done it all. If you question it, shouldn't we figure out why those muscles are tight in the first place versus, well, if this is the path I'm choosing, my hip flexor, my lower back's going to be tight, my IT band's going to be tight forever, or we figure out why it's tight. We figure out the root cause of it, right? So your body's it's really important, right? You only have one. So you wouldn't fix a leaking sink at home with a temporary solution, right? Like put a duct tape on the leak and you keep replacing the duct tape over and over again. Wouldn't you want to find why it's leaking, what's happening, the root cause of it? So that's pretty much what's happening with the mobility work is in stretching is that temporarily it feels good. So let's take this for example. Oh man, my trap's tight. I've been talking to you guys in this video, sitting around, it's real tight. So if I push into it right now, it feels so good. But wouldn't I want to address this once and for all? So if I roll out in a lacrosse ball 10, 20 minutes a day, right, and do stretches and things for my shoulder, I don't want to do this for the rest of my life because that's just putting a Band-Aid on it over and over again. So the trap is tight for a reason. Wouldn't we want to figure out why it's tight? How we're moving that's causing it. Maybe I'm doing push-ups, pull-ups the wrong way. Maybe I'm sitting with daily posture where I'm in my neck. So it doesn't fix the problem. It temporarily gives you a false sense of relief, right? So I can roll out my trap, roll out my IT band, stretch my psoas, my hip flexor, and yes, it will feel good temporarily. But right when I start doing things like daily activities, sitting, typing, walking, starting to work out again, go for a hike, start driving, this guy tightens right back up. So what's the point, right? So one, it doesn't work in terms of fixing the actual issue, which is a tight muscle. So how do you actually fix it? Well, you have to figure out why it's tight in the first place. So that's what we focus on because I spent hours on end trying to fix the problem, fix my shoulder pain, fix my neck pain. And it doesn't fix it. It temporarily allows you to feel better for a second or two, and then you go back to doing X, push-ups, walking, lifting, then the pain is back again. So number one, it doesn't fix the issue. It just kind of, it's just treating the symptoms. Now we're getting to the point where if you look online, there's a million different mobility programs and mobility tools. It's become a huge marketing giant where it's a big business type of thing, right? And again, we have a whole box of tools. We have all the bands and the massage guns, you name it. But if you ask, is it working for you? Are you still getting injured? Are you still in pain, right? So stretching a muscle feels good, but it doesn't fix the problem. The problem is, why is it tight? What movement is causing the pain? So again, if my shoulder is tight from doing push-ups or pull-ups or hiking, or I'm stressed at work, you should address the pull-up, the push-up, how you're sitting at work. Make sense? You fix it once and for all, you'll never have to deal with this again. Or if you relapse and this happens again, then you know how to fix it yourself. So that's number one. The other thing too is for performance reasons. People stretch because they think they're going to increase the range of motion. So if you have tight shoulders and you can't press all the way up, can't do an overhead squat. If your hips are tight and you can't squat all the way down, your hip flexors are always tight, your lower back's tight, your hips are tight. So people still think that you should stretch, roll everything out, sit on a lacrosse ball, do shoulder capsule work, mobilize your first rib, mobilize your trap, dig it out with a Theracane, a lacrosse ball. Do those things sound familiar, right? Do the stretch for the shoulder with the band. So after you do all that, everything's looser. So you're like, oh, I started here. Now all of a sudden, oh, look at all that. I have better mobility. That's passive, as in everything is off. So if you can reach all the way up and you have hypermobility, or if you started here where you're tight as hell, and then you stretched everything, dug everything out, and then all of a sudden you could do this, that's a false reading. That's why I don't buy into all those pre and post, before and after mobility tests. We used to do it too, where front rack's tight, elbows up, I can't. And then we used to dig out our lat or tricep to turn them off. And when you turn off your tricep and lat, all of a sudden you're like, look, it works. It's like snake oil. It seems like an infomercial because it gives you a false reading, but it looks like it's working. So what we found is if you dig everything out for performance, let's say for the front rack again, your elbows are higher, but it's only higher because your tricep and lat is turned off now. What happens when you actually add weight or try to perform the movement? You put a bar here with the tricep and lat off, it's going to collapse. We've tested it for years. People with an overhead squat or a press. Now that you can get here with your arms, right? You add weight to it because all these muscles are turned off. These are the only things you were using to lift the weight, trap, shoulder, tricep, whatever you've been mobilizing. You turn them all off. That was the only thing you're using. That's why they're tight. They're overused. Now you turn them all off. You can do this great. You do a snatch, you add a barbell. It's still jacked up. Because if you ask why, you're turning off the overused tight muscles that you use for that movement, right? Instead, what we found is instead of stretching, mobilizing, because your end goal is performance, is range of motion. What we're looking for is range of motion under tension. I want to have my elbows come up, but not by turning everything off. I'm going to keep engaging my core, my lat, my tricep. I want those things to get stronger, and they have to stay on. How do you get a muscle to become stronger? It's through training, right? So you can't stretch a muscle to make it stronger. That's it. It's plain and simple. You can't stretch a hamstring to make it stronger, right? You have to train the hamstring so it doesn't tear as easily. It doesn't stay tight. You don't want a small rubber band and just keep stretching it so it'll break. You want to reinforce that rubber band so it has more potential, and two, it won't snap or injure as often. So what we do is we train the muscles to fix the problem. all right? We don't spend time putting band-aids on the problem. Again, if you think about your own injuries or issues or chronic pain, what's the first thing you think of? I need to go get a massage. I need to stretch. I need to do more mobility work. Well, keep asking the question. Okay, your knee hurts when you ran, when you went for a run, when you went for a hike. Your calf is blown up. It's tight. So should you stretch it? Roll it out? Sure, temporarily, but guess what happens when you start walking or start running again? It blows right back up. Maybe you should figure out how you're walking or running so that you're not overusing the muscles that weren't designed for it. Same thing with low back pain, knee pain, shoulder pain, the most common chronic pain and injuries that everyone has. And the first mindset is always to do more mobility, do more stretching. We need to change that mindset. We need to evolve and update society's mindset on how we view the body, how we take care of it, because it's so outdated. The current standard operating procedure, if you are injured or you have pain, chronic pain, whoever you go to for that pain, this is what we've experienced, what we still experience. Whoever you go to for that issue or pain, no one's going to look at the root cause, the movement that caused it. So again, I use that analogy. If you go for a run or a hike and then you have a knee pain, a low back pain that won't go away, whoever you go to see for that knee pain, low back pain, they're going to try to target the pain, prescribe things for the pain, stretches, pills, mobility tools, corrective exercises. That's all great, but what they're not assessing is what caused it, which is the hiking and walking, right? If I go lift a case of water at Costco, again, and I tweak my back, if I do a deadlift, I tweak my back, my hips are tight. Everyone I go to for help is going to help me fix the pain, but no one's going to look at the way I lift a case of water. No one's going to assess my deadlift. Kind of confusing, right? It's way easier to sell a mobility program. There's so many different ones. We've been through them all. I don't want to just whatever, but we've done all the mobility programs, all the apps, and we tried it. It just doesn't fix the problem at hand. So what we're doing is figuring out where the injury is coming from, why certain muscles are tight, and we attack it from that angle. And then we learn how to take care of our bodies, which is even better, because think about stretching, doing mobility work. You're following a program. Your shoulder hurts, do this stretch, do this corrective exercise, do this mobility. What have you learned after doing 30, 40 minutes of daily mobility? That you're just tight, that it feels good? That's not improving in our opinion. That's not adding value to our clients, our members, ourselves, our own training process, our journey. Now, if your shoulder hurts right here, your neck is in pain, your elbow hurts, very common, my wrist hurts, let's figure out together where it's coming from. What movement caused it? What muscles are you not using? What muscles are you overusing? It's not that complicated when you start asking those questions. And then if you go through that process enough, like we have, that we just know the answers a little quicker. But we don't want to give you the answer. We want you to learn the formula. Another analogy I use for people coming in when I work with them one-on-one is that we want you to have the tools so that you can improve and start to fix yourself. So we want you to learn the formula versus giving you the answer, right? We want to teach you how to fish versus giving you a fish. And to me, that's teaching, that's coaching, that's what's important, right? So the idea is, if you're helping someone with math, are you just they're like, my 14-year-old son, I don't understand this problem. I'm not gonna go up to my son and go like, oh yeah, the answer's 47, and then walk away. That's pretty much what's happening, is that people are just being given a fish, right? Given the answer. Do all these stretches, do these corrective exercises, do these band pulls, do these 3 shoulder hacks for posture, do these drills and stretches for the best lower back care. I guarantee you, if you're part of this, you're watching this video, you're a fitness enthusiast, you're going to see all those things on social media or YouTube. you're being given the answer. We're trying to teach you the formula so that you know how to take care of it yourself once and for all. So again, question everything. For us, we don't do any mobility work or any stretching. Zero. Again, I do jujitsu, I do heavy lifting, I do Olympic weightlifting, I do CrossFit, I do a lot of shit, and I'm pretty old, right? Yes, it's all relative, but my body's been through a lot of fitness and sports, and I'm still doing it. And I've been way less injured than before. I still get, bumps and bruises, but the real goal, the real win is that I know how to take care of it when something happens. So if I tweak my back on a deadlift, if I tweak my shoulder in jiu-jitsu or a snatch, I don't have to rely on someone to help me fix it, and I have no idea where it's coming from. Another analogy is that, like for me, I'm not a gearhead or a mechanic at all. I have no idea how to use tools. So when I take my car in to the shop, because there's a check engine light or something's wrong, I don't know what's wrong with it, I'm kind of just helpless. I have no knowledge and no experience in how to take care of it myself. They could say, hey, it costs $5,000, and I'm just gonna I have to, I was gonna say write the check, but who writes a check anymore? I have to pay the bill, right? So that's what's happening still to this day. We have these smartphones that could do everything, right? Our advancement in technology is amazing, but the advancement in how we understand our body is at a grinding halt, and it hasn't changed for the last 12 years of me running a gym, right? We're just getting really good at making more things to buy, right? So the idea is, I don't want you to take your body to someone to help you fix the pain, like the car to the shop. Whatever they tell you that, hey, your shoulder needs XYZ, take this pill, take this shot, get this surgery. You have no idea. You're lost. You've never been taught these basic fundamental things on how the body works. So then you just go and then you trust it. I've seen so many people where they're getting surgeries that wasn't needed. It didn't even address the issue. Addressing movement wasn't even in the protocol. It blows my mind. So what we're trying to do is change that, save people from, surgeries or living with chronic pain or spending a lot of money and resources on treating symptoms of the pain or the injury, wasting hours on end, stretching, mobilizing. So we've experienced it. We're sharing what works for us. Again, everyone's different. I say question everything, question all of the stuff you heard in this video. Don't follow blindly, but ask yourself those questions. Do you still have neck pain? Do you still have back pain? Is it getting better? What's the end goal? Where's it coming from? So hopefully this helps. Again, these are the things, these concepts that I'm sharing are the most important in my opinion, because that's learning how to fish, learning how to take care of yourself. And if this helps you, please share this with someone else, subscribe. Again, it's just the more people we can help, the better. That's the main goal. All right. Have a good day.